Stanley was digging what looked like a grave at midnight. Suddenly, lightning struck right there and sent Stanley flying to his truck. Stanley got up, smiled, and walked away whistling like nothing happened. Kelly walked into a store to buy some food, but when he came out, he ran into Dominique, the girl he liked, and her friend Sarah. Clearly, Kelly was into Dominique, but he was too shy to talk to her. Kelly had this quirky habit of eating non-edible things, but the school bullies started messing with him. Dominique tried to stand up for Kelly, but those jerks dumped Kelly headfirst into the trash can while filming it. Thankfully, the store owner shooed away the bullies. At school, we saw that Kelly's weird eating habits had gotten worse. Kelly lived in a trailer with his mom, Bernice. Then we met Red Elk, who was doing some strange ritual. A doctor visited Kelly and recommended he see another doctor since Kelly's problem was mental and not physical. Stanley told a group of people that with his hands, he could heal any illness, for money, of course. A lady with knee problems agreed to his help. Stanley placed his hand on the lady's knee and, presto, miraculously healed her in front of everyone. So Bernice asked Stanley to help her son Kelly, and Stanley agreed. I never got that lady's wacky dancing, but hey, you do you, lady. As long as you're having fun and not hurting anyone, get your freak on. Red Elk talked to Stanley and told him to return that healing power, which he claimed had belonged to his ancestors for over 100 years. But Stanley refused to return the power and left with Bernice. When they got home, Stanley first made sure to get paid by Bernice before helping Kelly. They went to Kelly, and when Stanley touched him, he didn't feel too good. Stanley went to the bathroom to medicate himself before helping Kelly. We all know what that means. The dude went to go get high as a kite. He must have smoked some powerful stuff because he came back looking like he just got back from Burning Man. So Stanley came back smoking, and when he touched Kelly, he felt all of Kelly's illnesses, and bam, Stanley dropped dead. Suddenly, Kelly got up, and for the first time in a long while, he told his mom, Bernice, that he was hungry. Later, Sheriff Bud Adler asked some questions. Bernice noticed the scar on Kelly's chest had disappeared. The next morning, Kelly cut his finger, and the wound instantly healed. He told his mom, but she didn't really believe him. She was just happy Kelly's problem seemed cured. Afterward, Kelly's bike got damaged, and he ran into Dominique again, who confirmed he looked different. As he was leaving, Reed appeared behind him. He punched Kelly, but all the punches bounced back onto himself, so he ran away scared. Kelly got a job and shared the news with his mom. While they were talking, someone knocked loudly on the door. It was Gus, Reed's dad. They wanted to know who had given the princess a spanking. Kelly explained what happened, but they obviously didn't believe him, which made Bernice angry, and she slammed the door on their faces. After this, Kelly showed his superpower to his mom. He asked Bernice to pinch him, and when she did, she felt it instead of Kelly. He even showed Bernice that fire couldn't harm him. At school, Sarah lent a hairband to Dominique. In class, Kelly sat behind Dominique, and the hairband dropped in front of Kelly. Kelly took the label in his mouth and gave the hairband back to Dominique. Then, Kelly imagined being with Dominique in a steamy room and finding a way to cool off, while Dominique in reality started feeling something strange. Sarah joined that room to help cool off Kelly, so she also started feeling what Kelly was feeling. In Kelly's imagination, the high fives made Dominique and Sarah as restless as popcorn kernels ready to pop. The fantasy became so intense that Sarah finally exploded with a shriek in class. Kelly fell off his chair and ran out of there holding his carrot, while the girls were left very confused about what they had experienced. Later that night, everyone was at the beach. There, Nelson and his buddies were holding Dominique. Kelly saw this and immediately went to defend her. The guys threatened her, but knowing his superpower, Kelly wasn't scared of them anymore. Gus ordered his boys to back off, but then he also threatened Kelly about what he would do when he found out what happened. So angry, Kelly grabbed his bike and rode off. As Brad and the others drove around in their flashy sports car, they came across Kelly on his way home and decided to scare him by driving real close. At one point, Kelly fell off his bike and got run over, but it was Brad who was driving that felt the injuries. Seeing this, the other guys got out of the car and tried to call an ambulance. But when they saw Kelly was still alive, They sped off as fast as they could and left their injured friend behind. Kelly changed his t-shirt and noticed how his wounds instantly healed. Dominique and Sarah came across the car on the side of the road with Kelly unharmed. He told them everything that happened, and later the police and his mom arrived. The sheriff asked the guys about what happened, and they claimed it was Kelly's fault for standing in front of their car. The next morning, Dominique was giving Kelly all the signals to ask her out to the movies, but he didn't pick up on any of them. So Dominique just went ahead and asked him out herself. Kelly was so clueless, he probably thought she just wanted to see the new Marvel movie as friends. Meanwhile, Nelson and his friends are planning to get revenge on Kelly at night. At night, Kelly goes with his mother, but she is not feeling very well. So Kelly goes looking for some pills for her. The boys wait outside the trailer where Kelly and his mom live. Seeing Kelly outside, they start preparing their brilliant plan. The boys tie the base of the trailer and pull it with a truck, making it fall abruptly to the ground. Bernice gets trapped. The fall causes a gas leak, and moments later the trailer explodes with Bernice inside. Kelly pulls his mother out of the tiny little fire, but she lies lifeless. Shortly after, Kelly is in the hospital and the sheriff brings him his precious belongings. Red Elk asks the sheriff to help him obtain that power that belongs to his people, but the sheriff does not totally believe him. After Kelly goes to his mother's grave, Dominique follows him. She tells him it's not so fair that he has to leave that place and gives him a little peck on the cheek. So Kelly finally musters up the courage to plant a big smooch on Dominique like he's always fantasized about. But then she finds out that Kelly was the one who gave her all the tinglies that day in class. So she's just like, peace out, and leaves him standing there. Kelly eats one of the leaves that are on the grave, but this makes him vomit while Sarah manages to see everything from so far away. Shortly after, the sheriff will take Kelly to the amazing new place where he will be staying. The sheriff also tells him that apparently the support of his mother's trailer was tied before it exploded. At that moment, the boys pass the sheriff's vehicle and Kelly realizes that they are responsible for his mother's death, so he jumps out of the vehicle calmly. The boys go to a river and one of them jumps into the water. Kelly finds his clothes, takes a piece of the t-shirt, and starts strangling himself, which obviously affects the dude who is swimming. So he falls to the bottom of the river, gracefully. Nelson drags him to the shore, but it's too early, too late. Upon seeing Kelly, Reed moves away from there slowly. Kelly is about to exterminate the next one, but the sheriff arrives at the scene, so Kelly decides to escape for the long moment. At night, he goes with Dominique to confess to her about his revenge plans, but she foolishly convinces him to force the boys to confess instead of taking revenge on them. The next day, Kelly goes to class and starts making fun of Tony. He gets angry and throws some chemicals in Kelly's face, but Tony is the one with the burnt face. Sarah rears back and kicks Kelly right in the family jewels with the force of a mule. She doubles over in agonizing pain as tears fill his eyes. For the first time in her privileged life, Sarah gets a taste of what it feels like to be racked in the nuggets. Kelly is about to take revenge on Nelson. But at that moment, the sheriff arrives. The latter tries to help Tony, and Kelly takes advantage of that moment to escape from there swiftly. At night, Sarah tells Nelson what she saw when Kelly ate those leaves, which means that is his weakness, so they go to the grave and collect the leaves of that plant gently. In the morning, Red Elk gets permission to open the grave. While Gus trains the boys, the sheriff finds the chain with which they tied the base of Kelly's mother's trailer and goes to talk to them politely. Meanwhile, Kelly opens the truck and manages to find a drill. He eats a piece of candy. Nelson has those leaves prepared in a container, but Kelly uses the drill to hurt his knees and tells Nelson to confess. The sheriff tries to make Kelly come to his senses and confesses that he knows about the powers he obtained. Dominique arrives at the scene. Gus tries to stop Kelly, but the latter ends up on the lawn safely. Nelson sprays that liquid on Kelly, and this weakens him, but Dominique manages to clean him in time. Gus takes the sheriff's gun and points it at Kelly's head. He pulls the trigger, resulting in his own death, and that of his son Nelson. After this, Dominique and Sheriff Adler convince Kelly to return that power. So at night, Red Elk prepares a ritual to get the power back. But Kelly has had the power for a long time, and it is now impossible to take it from him without taking his life. Kelly is going to escape, but one of the policemen shoots him along with Dominique, and before dying, the latter tells him not to hand over that power. Kelly furiously promises that that power will die with him. He takes the heart of the corpse from the grave, and by eating it, Kelly feels everything that would have hurt him up to Gus's shot, and so he dies along with Dominique. Shortly after their bodies are transported, when suddenly Dominique gets up, which means that she is now the one who has that power, and she has a look of joy.